Meresha, thank you. Now, President Uhuru Kenyatta now wants any public officer arraigned in court for corruption to resign. The president issued this directive before a joint sitting of the two houses of parliament during this year's State of the Nation address. And as our political affairs reporter Murimi Mwangi now tells us, the president's speech, widely viewed by some legislators as underwhelming for failing to send any public officials packing of a recent wave of corruption crackdown, could as well set the stage for a major shakeup in government as investigative agencies prepare to line up suspects in court over a series of corruption scandals under investigations.
Long before President Uhuru Kenyatta's motorcade snaked through Parliament Road, a wind of anticipation shielded by a cloud of anxiety hung over Parliament buildings in the wake of recent corruption storming government. And the head of state certainly had an idea that a bout of fatigue had already engulfed the nation over the endless graft in government, even as he made his way to the chambers to address the joint sitting of the two houses of Parliament.
Honorable members, I must say that I've been under pressure that who am I sacking?
But not quite. The president in his speech was not going to send any cabinet secretary or any state officer packing, at least not on this day.
But I must.
But then the president had a fresh twist to the sacking of state officers over the graft monster.
Anyone whose case goes before court will be removed from government, and any individual will thereafter have to answer his case before a court of law.
Treasury Cabinet Secretary Henry Rotich was recently a guest of the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, who is probing the 21 billion shillings Kimorer and Aror Dam scandal. The DCI would days later also grill Devolution CS Eugene Wamalwa and his agriculture counterpart Mwangi Kionjuri over the scandal. Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions is yet to prefer charges against any suspect over this scandal.
Honorable Speakers,
the president's choice of words was in complete contrast to his 2015 State of the Nation address, when he fired 200 state officers, including 4 cabinet secretaries, among them his 2013 chief Ukambani campaigner Charity Ngilu, and engineer Michael Kamau, who until then was a senior member of the president's kitchen cabinet.
If there are any cases now with the DPP, he should really go through the files and take those people whom he has enough evidence to take them to court, so that those people can now be able to step aside.
The expectation in the public was that the president would either ask some of his cabinet secretaries to resign. I think he has now prepared, unknown to many people, the president has prepared ground for charging of cabinet secretaries and for them to step aside. He mentioned that, which means that the rumor that there are certain cabinet secretaries who will be charged in court is true.
There's also a contradiction. When you want to investigate and the same people you're investigating are still sitting in the office, it can complicate matters. So I think this is why there's a feeling of despair in the minds of the public following his speech.
Though media narratives rally our resolve as they should, our actions will not be based on condemnation before one has been heard.
Besides the corruption war, the president also reinstated his commitment to his March 9, 2018 cooperation deal with opposition leader Raila Odinga, which has since then been handed to the 16-member Building Bridges Task Force for polishing up.
It's an urgent agenda.
Odinga attended the State of the Nation address flanked by his fellow 2017 coalition partners, Kalonzo Musyoka and Musalia Mudavadi. Chief Justice David Maraga was also in attendance. Called the speech underwhelming or the president meticulous, perhaps with lessons from the past, but with a growing public outcry over corruption, the president certainly continues to be under pressure for a shake-up of his government. Murimi Mwangi, KTN News in Parliament.